So, how much do you think beliefs play a factor in people moving on?
Okay, so I'm going to say yes. There's a lot of beliefs, but always say God, the creator, whoever you want to call the creator,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
is very merciful. I always say he's also like Baskin Robbins, he gives you many ways to salvation. I had a reading one time. The woman sat in front of me. Now I'm at a fair. I have 15 minutes. So I always, at these fairs, I'm like, do you want a reading or do you want me to pull somebody through? And if you want me to pull somebody through, do you have somebody specific? Because 15 minutes is not very long. And I've already done it and we're at the end. And they're like, but that's not who I wanted. Well, you didn't tell me, I could pull that person through. So I looked at her and I said, which one do you want? She goes, I want to pull somebody through. I said, who? She goes, just whoever comes through. I says, are you sure of that? Because you might not get your specific person, but your father is standing right beside you. She goes, then that's who I wanted. I said, I like him. He's funny. He just is laughing and he keeps saying, I got it wrong. I got it wrong. I got it all wrong. And I'm like, what does he mean by that? She goes, he was atheist. He was atheist. And I always say, even the brain, it's what, 7 minutes? It stays alive after you're gone. After you pass, the brain is still active for 7 minutes. 7 minutes can be a very long time.
oh, yeah,
And so you have that moment, and the reading was fun. It was beautiful. We're carrying on, and right there it is, 15 minutes. So she goes. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, I'm reading somebody. She runs over and grabs me and goes, what was our secret word? I says, ma'am, it doesn't work that way. I'm in the middle of a reading, and I go, why don't you just go in there and order yourself some pierogies? Had no clue why I said that. We were at a martini bar and they have wonderful food there, but pierogies was not on the list. I just says, go order yourself pierogies. She went, that was the secret word. I said, good.
wow,
Now go. Bye.
yeah,
Like, let me get to my reading. But yeah, I mean, I just think loved ones have a lot of different ways. I know he helped my mother pass. And this gets to be a very emotional story. My mother didn't have an easy life, and she was a victim of abuse. She was a shaman. So she was the first one to really start verbalizing about the abuse. So she became abusive towards me. And then there was other abuses in the family, but I was the one who put a stop to it. My mother and I did not get along, but I was the oldest, but when she was dying, I was the one to take care of her. And I took wonderful care of my mother. I just believe she loved me when I was a child. There were things that, happened very, very young, and she was just mentally ill, and it was okay. I don't carry it around with me. But as I was taking care of her, she did ask me, why are you doing this? And I just said, you're my mom, and I will be judged for how I treat you, and you'll be judged for how you treated me. And I'm like, you really at this point need to get right with your maker, mom. So I had a message. I was in a cemetery just saying prayers, just trying to get back through this, knowing all these abusers from the family are going to come meeting my mom, and I have to face them and everything. So I'm at this place where there's a beautiful crucifix, and this voice came up behind me and said, you will take the last Eucharist with your mother. Well, I'm in Appalachians, 9 o'clock at night in November, in the woods, in an old cemetery, no streetlights. Not many things make me run to my car, but I ran to my car that day. I take off. I call my friend and she goes, who do you think it was? And I said, it felt like Jesus. And she said, I agree with you. So I'm taking care of my mother. She keeps telling me, the priest is coming. I don't feel the priest coming. So I'm out one day. I come back in because I moved in with my mom to take care of her. And she goes, hey, Stace, the priest is coming. Now I felt him in movement. And I'm like, oh, right. She goes, are you going to take communion? I went, nah, I don't think so. No, not today. And she's like, listen, she goes, you haven't fallen that far. I says, Mom, I haven't fallen at all, but I'm going to have to pass on this one. I go in the backyard, call my friend. I'm in tears. She's like, you have to take it. I'm like, I refuse. I'm just not. I come back through the house. The priest walks in and goes, "Hey, are you going to take communion with us today?" And I said, "Yes." I'm like, how the hell did that fall out of my mouth? What? Are you kidding me? So now how do I tell the priest I don't want to take communion without being like totally, they're going to jump on me and do an exorcism? So I sit beside my mother. She's laying in the bed and he comes over and, he's the body of Christ is shed for you. So I take it. And when I took it, I saw this gate open up and it was the colors, the sky was like a Salvador Dali painting. And I watched this flowing figure, the silhouette walk through. And when I opened my eyes, the priest looked at me and goes, "Child, what did you see?" And I just shook my head. And he goes, "Bless you, child." He gave me the blood of Christ. And my mother was rushed to the hospital the next day and passed away. So I remember when we were saying our goodbyes to her, she said goodbye to everybody but me. She just backed up and looked at me and looked all around me. And I took offense to that for a while. Like, why is she looking at me like that? So, as we're going on, I was having problems with my mother. She was attacking me. I could see her overlaying my hand. I could feel her pushing into me. I'm having severe kidney pains, like to the point it's like buckling in me and crippling me. And I'm like, I'm being attacked by something here. And I could not for the life of me get this off of me. I called my friend the one day and I said, my mother is like, I feel her pushing in on me. Like I would go to the mirror and I could see like an overlay. It was like she was just totally trying to take my body. And I'm like, what is going on? Well, she did Reiki and she pulled a piece of my mom. She's like, yeah, she's literally trying to manifest. She's living off of you. I said, listen, go bother one of the other kids. Like, leave me alone. You have 3 other children. Leave me alone. So he comes into my life and I keep telling him, like, I feel her. I would do galleries. Boom, she's right there tattling on me for something I did as a kid to the other media. And he's like, "Stacia, explain about your Barbie dolls." I said, "I got caught making them have sex and she took them off of me." I'm like, "Leave me alone. Leave me alone." Like, I want my Barbies back. It was things like that, And so I said to him, I said, "She's really draining on me and I want her to cross over." So we put a spirit box out and all of a sudden you heard all this Russian just talk. But then you started hearing Eva, Jolie, Nancy, Frank. And I'm like, oh my God, those are the aunts and the uncles. I says, my ancestors are here. And then all you heard, son, you heard Sandy. And I went, oh, that's my mom. Like, that's my mom. I said, so he started, and at that time I screamed. I said, my kidney. That's when I feel like they were holding on to me. So he started releasing them and I took a shower. I had to relax. The next day I just said, it's time for my mom to pass. Like, you're going to have to, get her to pass. I'm going to go meditate in the shower. You do what you need to do to cross my mother over. So I went in the shower, sat down, was meditating, and he came in and he said, I had a talk with your mother. So you can go ahead, tell him from here.
Yeah. So while she was in the shower, her mother seemed to, in spirit, kept the abuse going. There was still some unfinished business or something, and we had to come to a conclusion. So I pretty much made a deal with her mother that if she keeps this up, I'm going to have to put her into the mirror for eternity to face her own trauma she put on others back at her. So it was a pretty rough discussion and all that. And I says, what do you want? There's nothing here. There was still a blame, but she really deep down, a lot of her biggest traumas was she lost a few children before Stacia was born, and they were boys, and I think she really wanted to be with them. So I told her, I says, you need to leave Stacia alone and you need to pass so you could go see your boys. But she couldn't figure out how to do it. But she was struggling where she wanted to stay here and keep doing what she was doing. And I told her, if you stay here to keep doing what you're doing, you'll go into the mirror. And if you decide to go, you'll be able to see your boys. So she was having a difficult time. And I know Stacia hasn't told us, but Stacia's son died 8 years ago. And
And
Sorry to hear
him and my mother loved each other.
Yeah, they were
That
very
was
close.
her child. Like, I mean, I'm like, Mom, that's my child, seriously.
Mhm.
And she just, it was her first grandson, and they just bonded instantly. And I will say this, even though my mother was abusive to me, she was amazing with my son. And I would have never denied him that experience.
Yeah. So from there, it was in my mind, my forensic mind. So sometimes you need assistance and you have to ask for it. I was having difficulty with her to going through the door. She knows she wanted to, but needed assistance, and I can't go that far through the door, like I told you earlier. So I called on her son, and he came through, and I could feel them. I could feel him convince his nan to come with him, and she did.
Yeah. And, at this point, he's telling me what happened. And, we were talking about it, and my phone was sitting on the couch and it wasn't on. Like, I had no music on it. And he goes into the kitchen, and out of nowhere, my phone started playing I'm in Heaven. And it's not it's not a song that I have on any of my lists. And I picked up my phone, and I'm like, because we're like, where's this coming from? I'm like, it's coming from my phone. I picked it up, and I turned the phone on, and we swipe it up, and it's not on any of the tabs. And it played through the song, and it disappeared.
Wow. I
And
mean, how do you guys like cope with the emotional roller coasters?
it's
Therapy.
yeah. We put
go-
put ourselves through the Wardruna
All the
process.
time. I have a therapy session tomorrow with a lot of things that were going on. It's one of those things that, I'll call the therapist and go, I just had a really hard case. One of the hardest cases, I had is there's signs all around for that shaken baby. That they just put the chow on. And I've become really good friends with the grandmother, but she came to me and she's like, I'm here for my granddaughter. And I said, the back of my head hurts. Like, they're either going to shake her, drop her, smack her, something's going to happen. And I says, but I'm totally, totally worried about it. And so anyways, what had happened was, and he's got to go, you can tell him bye. He's got another podcast.
I got a podcast to preview with my partner for the Connecticut Paracon, so we have all the guests coming on. But Ryan, I appreciate. I'm glad I'm able to share the stories. I'll let Stacia continue on with you, but I will talk to you again soon, my friend.
I'll see you in September, Cleveland.
All right.
So anyways, what had happened was, I was so sure about this that, I said, we need to start calling CPS. Like, what's the address of where this baby lives? And I start calling CPS, like walking past the house, it's crying. And CPS did not go for this case. And a few months later, I got the call. She was in Rainbow Babies. So, she has made, she's doing well. The parents were just, sentenced. This was the mother and her boyfriend who did this. It wasn't the father of the baby. But, that bothered me. I mean, I was so upset by that. I cried all night long of what I knew was going to happen to that child. And I had to go to therapy for, because I get the images in my head and I feel it. That's one thing I do is I take on everything physical. The first time Christopher Lee investigated with me, we were in Madison, and Madison can be a pretty interesting place. Okay, many levels. And I was getting beat up pretty bad. And he even said at one point, he's like, do you want to continue going? I'm like, this is how I investigate. Like, I take on the trauma. That's why I've worked, police cases and everything. I'm like, I feel what has happened to a person. So we're walking and he goes, are you okay? And out of nowhere, I get chucked up against the wall. And I looked at him, I'm like, it was on the second floor.
Okay.
On this end of the building, not towards the living quarters.
Right. Okay. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I've
So
been there
yeah.
plenty of times.
Got chucked up against the wall, and he's like, are you okay? I mean, and everybody saw me. I just went thump. I'm like, I'm good. I'm good. But yeah, when I'm done with an investigation, that's what I usually don't go into just haunted locations for fun. I mean, I do them for events and everything, but it's very hard. We just did one at the Satanic Temple, and out of nowhere something attacked somebody, and I ended up doing a deliverance right there on the spot. It's all on film. We have pictures of like these creatures that are in the mirror, like, a lot of stuff happened that night. And I looked, I says, I didn't sign up for this. I just wanted to make sure everybody was okay. But here we are in the parlor doing a full-blown deliverance. But and that's where a lot of these investigative groups have to understand home cases. Be really
Right.
careful, because if you don't have the priest and the therapist and, you know, just tons and tons of backgrounds, like we rely on Penn Paranormal, who's a huge group,
Yeah.
and you don't have the experience, you can actually cause more problems.
Right.
You really, really can. So I always tell these groups, like, if you get in there and something's not right, please give us a call. We will take it. I mean, when we have Father Bob Bailey from Paranormal States who oversees all this, and we have these therapists that understand this trauma, please allow us to come in.
Right.
Don't make the case any worse. Don't be saying it's something when it's abuse.
Right. I mean, that's probably the hard part. Like,
Yeah,
you don't want to say something that it's not, or you can't prove.
correct.
That's hard. So we'll go to mediums and
Yes.
psychics. I mean, that's what you are. We'll throw
Yes.
that out there. How has that changed in the last 5 years? Not
Um,
for you, but as a paranormal whole.
Well, so I've done this my whole life.
Right.
I don't remember a moment of not being like this. I will tell you, I'm not in competition with anybody but myself.
Thank you. That's
I
good.
feel that there are enough people that lived on this earth that there's enough spirits that we can talk to. It shouldn't be a fight with anybody, and it seems to be. I also think that the universe will put the person in front of you, and when that happens, that's the message that is given. But I've also built a network that when I look at something, I go, oh, you came to me, but I'm not for you. I have another medium that can actually suit you better because maybe it's LGBTQ. You know what I mean? Maybe it's African American, understanding what their trauma is, and they can actually get better help through another person. So I have never been one not to share.
Right.
What I've noticed is
Yeah.
I think a lot of people want their name in lights,
Yeah.
and it becomes a contest. And, I've had a lot of things said about me, and it hurts. It really, really hurts. And, I just kind of go through every once in a while. I have to say that that's enough, but what I've noticed in the last 5 years, well, it's hard to say. I worked with politicians before that. I worked on very, a different scale of reading. I do notice a lot of fighting, and I don't understand why. I'm confused by that. Once again, there are more than enough dead people in this world for all of us to talk to
Yeah,
and
right.
investigate, We're not shy of spirits.
No,
Um, what's that, dear?
I see you said a lot of things, but competition, yes, you said competition in this field.
Yeah.
And as human nature, we are selfish.
Yeah.
And it's not about that. And you said something else about when you first started, you have to know your limitations.
Absolutely.
And obviously you do, because you said, hey, I can't help you. I will get someone else to help you.
Correct.
And I say that about home cases also. I don't do exorcism. I don't bless a house. I don't sage a house. That's not my belief. I
Yeah.
will come in and say, hey, you need some help.
Perfect.
Let me make some contacts and get you that help,
Yeah.
which I think is same thing you're doing.
Correct.
So I'm not I'm not that person to come in. First of all, I don't believe in sage, crystals.
Yeah.
Holy water. Yeah, I believe in it. I know how to do it. Heck no, I have no clue. So I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to be someone I'm not.
Yeah,
And too many people in this field are being what they're not. And
absolutely.
that's kind of hard to say because they believe they are what they think they are, but they're not. Does that make sense?
No, it absolutely does. Am I a good medium? I am. I have found bodies, I have overturned cases. I don't know, I don't understand this authentic medium or evidential medium. Like, why do we have to now put even more labels on it than, it's medium? I don't understand the whole competition. I truly am not trying to compete with anybody. And I hold festivals. I encourage mediums to be there. I have Wardruna and I have opened it up to amazing mediums. And, and there still has always been a little drama, and it's always ego driven by how much time you get on maybe a program. I never wanted to be out in the open.
Right.
I was totally fine being my weird little self, being in the building trades, skipping around, talking to the plumbers and pipe fitters and the boilermakers. I was totally fine eating my lunch in a trailer. And the universe kept pushing me. And like, Tom said, it'll rip the carpet out from underneath you. And it did. And I finally said, okay, Mercy, I will step into this full role, because I had both businesses going at the same time and I had to put one to bed at the end of 2024 and totally, wake up to this. But, the thing about it is I've had to be on a show, and I found it problematic. I am at all these Paracons. It takes me a lot to just go, okay, I got to put this character on. I got to stand on stage to talk to people. I don't want to stand on stage and talk to people, but I have to. And, you know, I worked very hard to get where I'm at. But once again, I've built everything that it's a we and not an I.
Right.
We are a group. We need to know our limitations. When it needs to go to the priest, it has to go to the priest. When it has to go to the therapist, it has to go to the therapist. We've walked people straight to the emergency room because they were ready to have them self-committed but didn't want to do it themselves. I mean, there's a lot of work that we do that we don't get paid for. I mean, I do have to keep the lights on. I
Right.
do have to charge for readings. I'm very inexpensive. But when I have to keep arguing with these other mediums and psychics because, you know, I'm being asked to talk to at a college. And then I'll give you an example. I was asked to talk at Tiffin University. And
Okay.
I took a local woman with me. She's an older lady, and she always just read like angel cards. I thought, I don't want the ride, go out there by myself. Why don't you come along with me? So I went out there. I'm on stage. I'm talking, and like you, I like to just wing things because you don't know where it's going to go, and I don't want to have to try to remember that word. And I have talked on national stages, so I'm okay at doing it. So I'm talking. This woman flies up out of her chair, jumps in front of me when I have the student body there. And no, 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 you're going to listen to me. And I just stopped and looked at her like, are you kidding me? Pull myself together, just kind of look at her. I give her a side look. She sits down. So on the way home, she goes, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I got carried away. I said, there's no excuse for that. You were to just ride along. And she goes, I'm learning. I'm like, you're 72 years old. You're done learning. Like, we're done learning, and I just I kind of shook my head, and I just like, it's the ego in all of this. I mean, more than once I've met somebody and I'm like, hi, how are you? Where'd you come from? Johnstown, Pennsylvania?
Yeah.
Why does this why does this have to be a competition? Like,
I know.
I'm saddened by it. I'm going through some stuff right now with it. That's where I'm just like, when you said about, unity, I'm like, yes, that's what it's about. The highest vibration is love. And we have to look at ourselves when we have this ego in our way and we're starting trouble to be recognized for a title. What in you is not fixed?
Right.
What in you needs to be addressed? There's a wonderful group out there called Wardruna. I can get you a therapist. But what is it in you? And I'm very confused by that. I'm glad you asked that question. It really saddens me. I have cried a bunch. Actually did a therapy session on it, just the lies being told. And I don't understand it. Like, I am always willing to pass off a client if it is for the betterment of the client to a
Right.
medium or psychic or therapist to get that person the help.
Right.
That's what it's about. It's not about fame. And, I'm very open about the abuse that I went through. I'm
Right.
clearly here for a reason, but also tell me your abuse. Scars are beautiful. And how do we heal together? How do we laugh together? How do we raise the vibration together? And how do we save somebody? That's how I see it.
Yeah. So I'm gonna break this down real quick. How
Yes.
I see this. There's bullies out there. There's competition out there. You're gonna get hurt. Like you said, you went to therapy for this. But the gist of it is, if you help one person,
Yeah.
you did your duty in life.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. That's the point of it. I mean,
Yeah.
like people talk about religion, you gotta do this, this, and this. My purpose in life is to make someone else's life better than mine,
Correct. I love that.
that I can pass on
Yeah.
and be peace with it.
Yeah.
That's how I live my life. If I can make other people's lives better
Mhm.
than what mine is, my
Yeah.
kids, you always want to raise your kids to better than you, then that's
Yep.
what your job was.
When my son passed away, I had a lot of people call me because he was an amazing soul. He really was. And they just would ask me, how did you raise him to be such a nice young man? And I said, it's really simple. My son had a gifted IQ, spoke multiple languages, highly talented, highly successful, and he passed away. And I would say to him, Stephen, we're all created in the image of God. It doesn't matter what our IQ is or how we look or what the color of our skin. Brain surgeons are needed, but so are janitors. Everybody is needed as a whole. We have our purpose. So not one person is better than another. And we don't make fun of anybody because we would be making fun of the image of God. I also told him if an animal gives their life to feed you, that animal has been created in the image of God. Insects have been created in the image of God. A blade of grass has been created in the image of God. So we need to respect everything as a whole because it is the image of God. That's where I told him Baskin Robbins, God is like Baskin Robbins. Pick your flavor, enjoy it. You can dabble in the others, but if you don't like it, don't spit in it. It belongs to somebody else because that is their path. But I said to him, when you open a door for somebody, don't worry about them smiling at you or saying thank you. So many people will say, I held a door for somebody. They didn't say thank you. Is this about you or them? You don't know what is on that plate. They might have just said, their mother was diagnosed with cancer or their husband, or they might have just lost their job, but they know the door was open for them. They might go home that evening and take a breath and go, that was a really nice person. That's all you need. You gave
Right.
love. Take a shopping cart from a mother, wait, that it's raining, let her get her stuff and take the shopping cart. Just be that kind person. That's a smile. Don't add to somebody's plate.
Right.
And so, yeah, that's how I raise my son. That's how I live my life. I always say, I will be judged for how I treat others. They will be judged for how they treat me. Have I made mistakes in life? Absolutely.
That's
Have
how
I
we
said
learn.
something that hurt somebody's feeling? Absolutely. We learn from it. But, being malicious, it's just, it takes away from the gift that you have. And that's what I'm confused by. Why
Right.
tarnish that gift?
Exactly. I mean, I would say we need more respect.
Yeah,
Definitely need more positivity in this world.
absolutely.
Everything is negative. Negatives will overcome everything so quick.
Yeah.
But just like negativity is contagious, positivity is contagious too.
Yeah.
If you are positive, I see it in the workplace. I'm sure you have. You worked in the same field.
Yes.
I mean, how many negative Boilermakers have you come
Oh,
across?
so many. So many.
But if you bring that positive attitude day in, day out,
Yeah,
it can change the workplace. It only takes
absolutely.
1 hour for negative to spread.
I agree. I September 19th is National Talk Like a Pirate Day. Okay. So I was at Conemaugh Power Station. I had to go in, I go into the guard shack and I'm talking to the guys and they're asking me questions. And I'm just like, because I could just clock in and go right through the turnstile, but I'm just like, I'm up there and I'm talking to them. And I said, I won't talk to you unless you talk like a pirate. And the whole entire time I'm talking like a pirate. So I got them to talk like a pirate. So then I end up over with the scaffolders and I go in and I'm talking like a pirate. They're all looking at me. I'm like, don't talk to me unless you can talk like a pirate. So, I'm going through the whole entire plant talking like a pirate. I do what I need to do, get paperwork, all this kind of stuff, and I leave. Well, the contracting boss calls me. I say, comes up and I answer the phone. I go, hi, Rick. He goes, hi. And I said, what you need? And he goes, were you just at Conemaugh Power Station? I said, yeah, I was. I said, were you there? I didn't see you. He said, no, but I have called and everybody's talking like a pirate. There's only one person in the world who could get a whole power plant to talk like a pirate. That's you.
We got to bring that same mentality in when we go to investigations.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think talking like a pirate will work. Maybe. I haven't tried it yet. But being positive going into a location, that's what
Oh, yeah.
protects me. People say, what do you use for protection? Positivity. That's what I bring into investigation. That's
Yeah.
what protects me from attachments, whatever you want to say it is.
Absolutely.
And you know it, if you go in negative, bad mind, bad stuff can happen
Yes.
in an investigation. So,
Yeah.
Investigating life, there's one combination, positivity. Be
Absolutely.
positive.
Laugh with the spirits. They have a sense of humor. They
Oh,
like to joke. We'll have to do an investigation together because on the power plant, my nickname was always Red. And there was also another nickname I had because I did safety. Okay. So we'll just leave that there. It begins with a C. Boilermakers don't like to be told to turn their hard hat around. I will say, I have heard the C word so much in my life. I just think it's funny. I'm thinking that's the last thing that falls out of your mouth. You're not going to get me mad. I won the argument.
yeah.
So we're sitting there one time, and Stacia's not the easiest, I guess, name for a spirit to say, and everybody butchers it. So we're on a spirit box one day, and we're laughing and we're having fun, and the spirits are having fun, and everybody's name's being said. I said, "What's my name?" And it comes up with the C word, and I went, "What? Are you kidding me?" And I start laughing. Anytime we go to an investigation, at some given point, the C word's going to come out. Even if I say, what's my nickname? Boom, they say it. And I'm just like, are you kidding me? So, yeah, I mean, have fun with them. Have fun in life.
You have to. I mean,
You do.
You see a lot of groups out there now saying they're different because they go in there and have a good time, but there's a lot of them now. The spirits are or were us. They like
Yes.
to have good times. So go in there and have good times. Ask the questions. We're
Yeah,
all in there for, well, I like to say we're all in there for one reason is to get answers.
correct.
All right. That's not really true. I'm hoping it's true, but we know it's not true.
Yeah.
But for the people that are, have a good time. They respond. Tell a joke. Tell a dirty joke. Who cares? See what
That's
happens.
exactly it. You can build, I want to tell you this quick story because you can build relationships with these spirits if you keep going back to a place. And Haunted Hillview, I don't know if you've ever investigated there. It's an
No.
amazing, you have to. It's an amazing place. A lot of fun spirits. And last year we were doing something on Spirit Realm, just introducing Wardruna. We're in the basement, and I do have a pacemaker defibrillator. I was born with a heart condition. I'm a shaman. Was born with extra teeth. I have extra electrical hardware, so that's part of the gig. My mom had extra bones in her feet, and my pacemaker kept standing up like it was being pulled, and we had to keep pushing it down. I actually had to leave the area So my pacemaker would be let alone. I was actually having trouble with the medication that the electrophysiologist put me on a lot. It was making me gain weight. It was shutting down my organs. I was begging to be taken off of it. And when it's an anti-rhythmic medication, you just can't be taken off of that. My heart needs it. So October 20, no, I'm sorry. We were up there. It was October 27th. I had a heart operation. By that Wednesday, and I was not doing well. And I kept calling the doctors. They weren't answering, just waiting for them to call in a new med. That's how it usually happens. We're over at Haunted Hillview because we were going to do something on the Day of the Dead. So I usually like to do a live before an event. So we're doing a live, and this woman's voice kept coming on going, Stacia. And look, we all look because they never say Stacia. And the tripwire was going off this color. It was like an amber. And you could see the other ones flickering, and they were all flickering except one, and it was doing Morse code. So I wrote down the dot dashes, looked it up, and it was my name. And I'm like, I don't know what's going on here, but I'm not feeling well. I'm going to go down in the room. So I sat, Tom drove us home. So now we are on Saturday. It is the Day of the Dead. We're driving there, and I just said, I don't think we're going to be there long. We get out there. This is a new event, and new events are hit or miss, okay? So we're sitting there, and I'm sitting there at the table, and over my right shoulder, I'm in this room, and it's just the corner. I heard, you should eat now because it's going to be a while before you eat again. And I turn like this. I'm looking at this corner, and I said, Tom, do you want to go get a Subway? He goes, are you hungry? I went, no. And he goes, I said, a spirit just told me we should eat. So he goes to Subway. He gets us food. I eat the 6-inch turkey, baked Lays. I have an iced tea. And I said, listen, I'm going to go down and get my first client. Walk to the restroom. I go down to the chapel then. And the clients were actually volunteers there. I said, I'm ready for you. They said, we'll be right up. I start walking up the ramp. I lean my head up against the wall, and it was nice and cold. I'm just not feeling well. I go diagonal to the room, and it's right by the embalming room. You can't make this stuff up. And the next thing I know is I'm on my hands and knees, and I'm grabbing my chest. And I said, my defibrillator just went off. And everybody is standing around me, meaning I went into VFib. So it saved me. And I just, call the bus, call an ambulance because something is wrong with my heart. So they rushed me to UPMC, who cannot get my heart under control whatsoever. I am at 220 beats, and the doctor goes, what is your pacemaker set at? I said, clearly higher than 220. And he goes, it went off at 174. I said, what an odd number. And he goes, yes. He goes, it went off at 174. I says, I find that odd. And he's like, listen, he goes, we're going to have to life flight you to Cleveland Clinic. Please don't be upset. I said, no, get me to University. And he goes, ma'am, we send everybody to Cleveland Clinic. It's the best heart hospital in the country. I said, so is University. Get me to University. He goes, why do you want to go to University? Where are you from? I said, Cleveland, get me to my doctors. He goes, oh, I didn't realize that's where you were from. I'm sorry. So I flew to University, and what I told Tom, I said, that spirit told me not to eat. It was 48 hours until I was allowed eating again from the test and the blood work and, the nuclear medicine. 48 hours. I didn't eat anything. So we go back to Haunted Hillview with the influencer group, Culture Swap. We're friends with them, and we work with them from time to time. And so we had them out there, and all of a sudden this voice comes across and goes, Stacia. I said, who is this? Mary. I said, okay, Mary. There's 2 Marys there. And so we then go to the psychic fair, and there's a Mary in that hall. I said, let's go see if it's this Mary. Tom and I walked down, and I said to Mary, Mary, did you tell me to eat? No. I said, well, did you talk to me on the box? Yes. Well, who told me to eat? All of a sudden you heard Anna. Across the room is Anna, across the hall. 2 women that have a rivalry when they live there together. But the 2 places I go to set up tripwires and play the music they love so I can watch them dance. and I give them treats and I'm always there and I'm kind and I play music. So when it was my time of need, these two women, every time I went to the building, they were warning me about my heart. So you can build relationships. Their spirits on the other side. Their purpose hasn't ended. Their meat suit has.
Right. Now, I do have a relationship with something in Madison.
Okay. Oh, which one? Which one? The guy in the trench coat that follows me around?
The doctor,
The doctor. Okay.
it's not a good relationship.
It's
I'll
not a
say that.
good relationship.
We're talking about like the feelings,
Yeah.
People say sensitives. I believe we're all sensitives.
Yeah,
We all get
absolutely.
that feeling when we go in there. I've been to Bel Air. My team has had some bad stuff happen at Bel Air.
Yeah.
I've never had that feeling, maybe a little uneasy.
Yeah.
I
I'm
would tell
same
you
with
what,
Bel Air. We're
Mad-
spot on together.
Madison Seminary attic is probably the worst feeling
Yeah.
I've had of all the locations I've ever been.
Yeah.
Like, I do a lot of solos.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm doing it solo for 10 hours coming up. I'm going to conquer Madison Seminary. That is my goal. Madison has the heaviest feeling of all the places I've ever been.
I agree with you. I really do. I mean, I personally, I wouldn't take a child there. I would take a child to Hillview. I mean, I would take a child to some of these other places. Madison to me is it's a good place to go if you're not experienced because you get a lot of activity, but
Right.
it is a place for somebody, if you really want to deep dive, the experienced, people. I mean, Adam does an amazing job. He really does. It is a beautiful, beautiful place, but there's many, many layers there. So many layers to that building and to that history itself. There's just a lot.
I'm glad you said that because people always ask me, what is your favorite place to investigate? It's Madison. I mean,
Yeah.
first of all, it's 10 minutes down the street from me. I love it. Second of all, there are so many different types of spirits there.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
You can go
it
anywhere
is.
and get a different type of spirit.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just an unbelievable place. That's where I take new people to go investigate.
Mhm.
We're doing that November 2nd. I'm taking a whole bunch of new people. Me, Stephanie, Haunted Havens.
Okay, nice.
She's the one that's helping run Cleveland Paracon also.
Yes.
And my buddy, Christian. We all have the equipment. We all have experience. And we're taking 9 or 10 other people to have that experience.
Beautiful.
And I was told, do not leave me alone by a lot of people.
Yeah.
Because they're scared. I mean, they watch TV shows. But I'm
Yeah.
like, 99% of spirits are just spirits. You don't have to be
Just
scared of them.
spirits.
They
Yeah.
just want to be heard. That's it.
Yeah.
So
So-
I'll ask you this question real quick
Yes.
before we jump off, because I have Adam coming up in a week. I believe he's coming on the show.
He's amazing.
Right.
I also believe, we can create energies and then they take a life of their own.
Right.
And that's what you got to watch. That's a lot of house hauntings, creating your own energies.
If you ask, they will come.
Absolutely. That's what I was saying.
They all the time. People are like,
Yeah.
it'll be cool living in a haunted house. I'm like, just start asking questions. Your house will be haunted.
Yeah, that's where I say, don't say demon. Like, if any of these people who claim to run into them or see them ever did, they wouldn't be talking about it.
No.
They wouldn't be talking about, they wouldn't be going looking for it. That's your 1%. And have we run into that? Yeah. Do I tell the story? No, because I'm not giving that thing life. So quit saying it's a demon. People say to me, well, with Wardruna, why do you call things familiar demons? Because I can't say trauma. That's reserved for the therapist. So it's governed by state board, but familiar demon is not. And familiar demons, like I said, are those traumas, those, addictions, whatever. But, people need to stop screaming the D word. They really do.
I think it's getting better.
I hope so. I really do. I hope so.
Okay, you said it right. I hope it's getting better.
Yeah, I hope
think it
so.
is.
I just hope it goes away,
Because a lot of people throw the demons out, the D word out when they want the clicks.
That's exactly it. But they're asking for it to come to them. You know, like these people, I got a doll. It's haunted. Well, now it is. You just invited something in because it wasn't haunted before, but
We
you keep
went
saying it's
an hour, 30 minutes before you said the other D word, dolls.
dolls.
So I have a huge issue with dolls.
Yeah.
Stephanie is my good friend. I love Stephanie. She sells haunted dolls. I have a haunted doll from the UK when I went over there. Got it for her. It's not haunted. That's my point.
Mm-hmm.
But, and I will say this now live, I am doing a paranormal debate coming up shortly where I get to be the a-hole and debate people on dolls and demons and what they actually believe is real.
You know who you need to get on is Mary Jo Chudley. Mary Jo does have a real haunted doll, okay? And that's kind of what took her down the rabbit hole with all this. She has Penn Paranormal. She's amazing. Now, she does these doll classes where, you know, they make them look all gory and goth and everything. And she's just like, I'm more than this. And she is, because she is a highly intelligent, skilled person. But she is known for these baby dolls. She goes, but I don't sell haunted baby dolls. I sell dolls that are goth looking that, you know, we do them, but quit saying they're haunted. Now, she does have haunted objects. She does have them.
Okay.
And the one we're not even going to talk about because, I mean, she's talked about it on shows and everything. But Mary Jo is an amazing person to get on. I mean, this woman knows what she's talking about.
That's the type of people I want to talk to and not argue, but
And she
knowledge.
won't. Yeah, she won't. She's not going to argue. She's a class act. She's highly intelligent. I'll hook the two of you up.
Okay, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Definitely Cleveland Paracon, you guys are going to.
Yes.
I will be doing live podcasts both days
Nice.
there. So definitely you and Tom jump on. I got some questions for Tom. I wrote a whole bunch of stuff and he jumped off. So
Yeah, another podcast because he's got his Paracon, you know. I'm going to go run and jump on that one and say hi to everybody.
Yeah.
You know, that's another person you need to get involved with. Jimmy Petnino's back there. He did all the filming for the Warrants. Mr. Haunted. Oh, Jimmy, a really good friend. He's amazing, but that's another. We'll hook you up with some really amazing people to get on the podcast.
I appreciate it. I mean,
Absolutely.
everybody, anytime I get someone on that questions my thoughts,
yeah,
it makes me expand my horizon in this field. I'm all for it.
Perfect.
I mean, that's what like I told you guys before when I started this podcast, I had no idea how much my mind would expand and question and the amazing people I would meet in this field.
You know, we learn something from each other. And that it goes back to like not fighting and ego and everything. If you just take a moment, it's a piece of the puzzle.
Right.
And we all learn from each other and teach each other and heal, you know, traumas, and we see each other in each other. It's just, that's what it's about.
Right. That's what, until someone steals that corner piece and you can't finish the puzzle.
Probably a cat took it, to be honest. You know? A ghost cat. But
We're not good at ghost cats. That's a whole other story there.
It's another story.
That's another story. I appreciate you coming on. I can't wait to actually meet you guys in person in September. I mean, it's coming up quick for me.
Yes.
Stephanie did put me on as a speaker, which I know why. I know why she did it because she knows I don't want to do it. But we will see how that goes. But obviously, jump on anytime we're down there.
Okay.
Even if we're not doing a podcast, I love talking to you too. And just keep going. I mean, you guys keep doing what you're doing. I always say keep being you. Obviously, I don't have to tell you that because you're going to be. Yeah. That's why I love it. So again, appreciate it. And we'll see you soon.
Sounds good. Have a good night.
You too. Tell Tom I said bye.
We'll do. Bye-bye.